fight to make equity a reality. He brings not only formidable fire, but also deep wisdom to his conversations, education, trainings, and to every aspect of his activism. Our mentor, Phyllis Bree Frank, the reason that undoing racism is in New York State is because of her. I have taken it 16 times, so I tell anybody in this room, you need to take it more than once, or you need to take it at least once. Our mentor used to constantly say, don't you two get arrested when you go out together. It turns out that this has been true since his youth. Since age 16, Joseph has spoken out against oppression and has worked to create a community that embraces all people. As a high school student, he founded the first Gay-Straight Alliance and helped co-facilitate peer-to-peer training, anti-oppressive training at several of Rockland County's high schools and colleges. During an early gay pride celebration, Joe spoke out against the bullying of gay, lesbian, bi, and trans youth. People give out social justice awards and don't have a clue what they really mean. A local college recently found this out, that Joseph, like many of us who stand for equality and justice, for all, no exceptions, they will not have an award ceremony on the backs of the gay, lesbian, bi, and trans community. He worked tirelessly to expose and create a dialogue around a local college anti-gay, lesbian, and trans language and practices. As demonstrated by this small glimpse into the work of Joseph, it is plain to see that he applies the intersectionality framework to all he does, from racial justice to reproductive justice to ending violence and on and on. Joseph is in the thick of it, working humbly, tirelessly, effectively. He is truly a powerhouse and an outstanding public citizen. I give to you my friend, my colleague, and my comrade in the fight to end injustice for all, Joseph Coe.
I'm actually going to cut out a lot of what I was going to say because Vanessa said it, but I do want to just thank everyone for this tremendous award. I feel at home with social workers and respect what you do on the front lines for our communities. It's a privilege to be honored with such profoundly powerful and caring individuals. I read all of your bios, and the work that you're doing is extraordinary and amazing, and we all need to do this work together. I want to thank some special people that are joining us tonight, my colleagues at the Global Healthy Living Foundation, led by Louis Tharp and Seth Ginsburg, that work day in and out to ensure that the voice of some of our most vulnerable population, the chronically ill, are heard. I want to thank my political mentors, Kristen Stavisky, the chairwoman of the Democratic Party of Rockland, and Stephanie Hausner, a councilwoman in the town of Clarkstown, for really sticking in politics and good old boys club and working in a community that sometimes is difficult. I appreciate all that I learned from you. My brother Jonathan, who is with us tonight, he's one of the first that gets to hear me vent when I have an issue of oppression that's really, as I would like to say, making my blood pressure go up. And I appreciate that. My friends that join me tonight, my colleagues, and certainly last but not least, Vanessa Green, who is a fearless advocate, mentor, and someone that I'm fortunate to call a friend. I framed this award thinking about the epidemic of LGBT youth suicide. And I think about this because there was a campaign going on a couple years ago called the It Gets Better campaign. And while it certainly got better for me, it doesn't get better for everyone. And it won't get better for the young people in our schools unless each of us in this room commit to doing something to shift the institutions. We often want to focus on what young people can do. We are impressed by a lot of the activism that comes from the youth community. But the people in this room are those that have the power to really shift the institutions of schools, of service organizations and agencies, and really understand how they can impact great change both locally and nationally. A big reason why Alma Reyes Evans, a warrior spirit, amazing social worker, nominated me for this award was because of my current activism around exposing the homophobic and dangerous policies of a local institution called Nyack College. Some of you may have heard of them. They have an NASW program. According to the college handbook, which I accessed on December 22nd, 2015, the Word of God also identifies character qualities and actions that should not be present in the lives of believers, such as abusive anger, malice, jealousy, lust, sexually immoral behavior, including premarital sex, adultery, and homosexuality. Students who choose to live outside these expectations will be confronted and are subject to disciplinary actions. That's in 2016. Now, I feel that that institution is very right as a private religious institution to have their beliefs, but what really deeply troubled me was that for the past 10 years, Nyack College gives out a social justice award in the memory of Dr. King, and that progressive leaders throughout the community accept an award from an institution that has caused such deep trauma to LGBT students and professionals who are not allowed to openly work there. The stories I heard from former students weighed heavy in my heart, and I committed to them that I would work to ensure my community has the ability to decide if we want to support such an institution. One former student wrote, "Intimidation, shaming, and punitive disciplinary action were used freely in order to force LGBTQ, that's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer, students off campus into hiding or into destructive states of denial." With these stories, which if anyone wants a copy of them, I printed out some blurbs. I have them in a folder here. We organized. Together, through the power of social media, we decided to speak out. We spoke with local businesses that sponsor the event and reached out to progressive leaders in the community. We scheduled meetings with elected officials. My assembly person, Ken Zabrowski, who happened to be one of the honorees, was one of the first people I reached out to. He, like all others that we spoke to, didn't know the long anti-gay history of Nyack College. He listened with purpose to the stories that were shared. Within days, a letter went out from the state representatives that were being honored at this event, calling on the college to rethink their harmful policies. After all the external pressure and with a looming protest, the school decided to cancel this past year's event. Activism works. As a professional social work institution, I hope that each of you in this room do not take what this institution called Nyack College has and continues to do to the LGBT community lightly. Surely the social work accreditation can be called into question if they have policies on the books that out LGBTQ professionals cannot be professors and that students who are gay can face disciplinary action. One last thing. We cannot and will not be divided and conquered. My activism is intersectional because the LGBT community cannot be free unless we acknowledge that Black Lives Matter, that a woman should have the ultimate say in her body, and that the politics perpetuated by the white wing of our country, with the xenophobic and racist presidential candidate Donald Trump at its helm, do not represent our values. And on a lighter note, I just am really humbled and honored to share this evening. And it's really, I have a public administration master's. I feel like I'm a social worker at heart. The work that all of you do day in and day out, really on the front lines, and working in an organization like BCS, I saw the impact that social workers have, certainly in my life, dealing with death threats in high school and really horrible things. You really do impact and create culture change. And don't ever forget that there are people behind the work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you, John.